Western Spring Television, ours it is.
A very beautiful morning to you. Thank you for joining us on another edition of Morning Spring. It is Thursday, and indeed, we are grateful to God for life. The third day in the month of October 2024. Here on Morning Spring, what we do is to speak to social political issues affecting us as a people. We talk to critical stakeholders, politicians, policymakers, social advocates, so that it can help us have a better understanding of the situation we have at hand. My name is Evelyn Ohiole, welcoming you especially to this edition. It's a wet Thursday, and of course, it's cold. Femi, how are you doing? Hope you're not feeling too cold.
I'm a bit cold, by the way. It's drizzling outside, and then it rained all night.
Yeah.
By the way, but then we can't complain, especially at this part of the country. Many of us have been praying to God to give us the showers because of agriculture, obviously, and it has God has answered our prayer. I must say that, and it's been raining for quite some days now, and for more than a week, it's been consistent. And of course, you can see it in the farm produce that have improved. Vegetables are a bit available now and quite cheaper than what it used to be. Very dry, like 2 weeks ago. But right now, you see it and you are happy. This is a nature, of course, hard work. So what can we do? We must just find whatever way possible to do what we do here. Femi Ojo is my name. The raging issues in the Middle East is still there. And depending on who you are asking now, many persons are telling Netanyahu, please hold on, don't do this because, for who he is, Benjamin Netanyahu, you don't need anybody to tell you that is as sure as anything that there will be retaliation for what has happened. And it's a case of forth and back, depending. It started with the Gaza Strip thing, the West Bank thing, Israel against Hamas, who, invaded their country and took some persons hostage and killed some persons. But the war has escalated beyond Hamas-Israel thing. We're going to be talking about that in the course of the program. By the way, yesterday as well, there were rumors that maybe there was another assassination attempt on Donald Trump again. Many persons are saying this is one too many. Is this staged? Is it about public sympathy or sympathy votes? Okay, who is after him? Many things are happening, especially in international politics, as the whole world waits to the election. For the election that will be holding, very soon in the United States. But then, trust us to be on the matter. We'll take this quick break. When we return, the papers are in, and here, right here, we are ready. On this day, let me start with this day newspaper. And it has this big bold headline: engage military contractors to wipe out Boko Haram. Ndume tells Tinubu. And writers say it is global standard practice. Another one say condemns a fresh attacks on Borno farmers, and how the terrorists ambushed our farmers by councillor. Is a bandit, criminal, terrorist, roaming free, calling the shots at some part of the country. And when leaders, want to show that like we are really working in a delusional way, I must add that, with us as a responsibility to hear them say no part of the country is ceded to any insurgent or Boko Haram member or group again. But when you have a part of the country where some of these guys are still wreaking havoc, they dictate how much they will collect, in tax. They call it tax. Before you go to farm, you pay them. When you are ready to harvest, you pay them as well. Before you can do some certain things, you pay them. They levy taxes on the people, And some government handlers still come to say, no, we have rooted them off. They are only in the fringes of our, borders. But it's obvious here, and that's Senator Ndume speaking on the matter. And below that, you have pictures from the ongoing, a picture rather, from the ongoing United Nations General Assembly 79 event in New York. You have some Nigerian representatives there. At the other side, French ambassador visit Ovia, Jim Ovia, an icon businessman there. And still on this day newspaper, Israel declares United Nations chief Antonio Guterres persona non grata. That's quite extreme, by the way. But moving on, federal government unveils new fiscal incentives to boost oil and gas sector. With riders introduces VAT modification order 2024 for exemptions on diesel, LPG, CNG, others, and offers new tax reliefs for deep offshore projects. And lastly, Naira redesign was good for the economy. Former acting CBN Governor Shinobi tells court. That will be all from this day newspaper for today.
And from this day newspaper, we head on to the Punch newspaper this morning. The Punch newspaper, what do we have here? LG autonomy, governors in fresh move to delay implementation. With the rider, LG's plan to get October allocation from Federation account as Nolge others urge enforcement. And customs intercept 682 million naira cannabis indica at Tinkan port. And you can see the photograph of the customs officials there with the packages of over 682 million naira worth of cannabis there. And court hears Barbican FBN 5.4 billion naira shares dispute in October 21, and 25 killed in Niger boat crash. 25 killed in Niger boat crash. And we have reiterated our calls to the different states to always ensure water safety. We know of road safety. In fact, we even have an agency dedicated to ensure road safety in the country. And I think it's high time we add a water safety, agency or water safety officials or water safety to ensure safety of our people, of Nigerians, when they make use of the water channels to go to their different destinations.
Sadly, last year we talked about this.
Exactly.
We talked about this. A month ago, we talked about these. Today, we are talking about these. Who knows when we will talk about these or where is next? We are just a group of reckless and, I don't want to use very extreme words because of what, we talked about this last week when Governor Babagana Zulu on an assessment tour was in a canoe with his officials with no life jacket at all. And how could you imagine in this particular case, we are not blaming the victim, no, but then it's quite unbelievable that a boat will be carrying 300 people. How large, how long, how strong can a canoe be for it to carry 300 people, mostly women and children?
Yeah, it's a sad one. Away from that, national honors, House not inferior to Senate, reps tell federal government.
Interesting.
And should we say that is a battle for powers, or who is better, who is stronger? All right, top corner, LG poll, INEC withholds register as Fubara Wike's camps clash. And okay, that's in River State. And then PCL portal shut down, delays petrol supply. This is coming from the marketers. And PDP crisis, Ohiole peace panel begins sitting on Monday. And FG stops VAT on diesel, cooking gas. We hope with this fresh move, it will be able to crash the price of diesel and cooking gas to a reasonable extent.
Right.
That will be all from the Punch newspaper this morning.
Moving on to Nigerian Tribune. The Nigerian Tribune for today. Quite a very detailed front page they have here. Oil and gas sector. Federal government introduces tax incentives, VAT modifications on diesel, CNG, others. Gazettes withholding tax 2024 regulation. Okay. And many missing as boat carrying over 200 passengers sinks in Niger. Sources say 160 feared dead. As of yesterday, we learned over 60 bodies have been recovered. And you know, it's common logic to say they might never recover all the bodies. And it's sad as well. Very, very sad. Who will rein in this particular behavior and pattern, especially because I'm not sure this is a federal government thing. State at all levels, especially the maritime sector at each state, you know, should be responsible enough to do what is right. And people as well. I think we need a kind of education and advocacy. At the moment, you don't see a life jacket at the shore of any water, either a sea or a small pool of water, you should not dive in. But then it's a sad one because this keeps occurring and occurring. And, you know, the casualty figures here is quite high, very high. And reps reject Abbasi CR file. Before I move away from that, and, you know, sometimes when casualties are high and things are bad, that's when you see government at all levels coming with all kinds of speeches, putting up committees, and then setting up implementation committees to see to one thing. You know, that's the case now with the situation in Borno, with the Allow Dam, you know, that was breached. And then the casualty is there. We learned all of a sudden the federal government, you know, has put up a committee to assess, you know, the capacity and the strength of all the dams in the country. And that committee is led by the Minister for Water Resources. The question is, are these things hidden before now? Well, we hope, because there was a committee as well from that state government who went to assess, you know, the state of the Allow Dam and who gave them a clean bill of health to say, we are fine. Less than 2 weeks later, disaster struck. These are the issues as well. And reps reject Abbasi CFR, demand GCON like Akpabio. That's what I'm talking about, you know. You know, I think is a matter of nobody is superior to another. And they've even said people should stop referring to them as the lower chamber. They are not a lower chamber. In fact, they said there is no lower or upper chamber. You only have the green and the red chambers. And so that the GCON was bestowed on the new CGM. And they said the office of Speaker Abbas, as in number 4, supersedes that of the new CGN of the country. Well, you know, many Nigerians will say, as we say in normal parlance around there, that's where we'll see you people.
I was just about to say that what's the contribution of titles to the Speaker of the House of Representatives, you know, to what they are to do for the people, they are to do for the nation. I mean, it just speaks to where their priority lies. It speaks to what they hold dear. It speaks to the fact that it's misplaced priority for me. It's misplaced priority. And someone
they fell to that institution because we learned that bill that was discussed at the House was jointly signed by all of them, 360 of them, feeling belittled by that award.
Mine is, I mean, this is just to digress, and it's just for the humor. They say that they shouldn't be referred to as the lower chamber. There is nothing like lower and upper chambers. But we all know that the Senate president, the highest office in the Senate, is called the president. The highest office in the House of Rep is a speaker.
Just for me to add it there.
Just wait, put it together.
Why should even the Senate president be called the chairman of the National Assembly? That sort of position doesn't exist. So you want to, it's feeling an emancipation thing, you know, from the reps. And just like you said, by the way, is that what truly matters?
Misplaced priority, if you ask me. There are a lot of places they could have channeled this
That
energy to.
energy.
There are a lot of things you could channel this energy to. I mean, Miss, when you talk,
Yeah. For the Nigerian people, security.
are you concerned
All of
about
a sudden, 360
titles?
of them signed a bill, and they made, the award was given 2 days ago. By yesterday, a day later, they're already discussing it and telling the president, we don't want this. I agree with you 101% to say they know what they are doing. Everybody knows what they are doing.
This is shameful,
And
really.
it shows where their priority lies, because they feel belittled by CON, or is it CFR? Interesting, But moving on, and here, hire military contractors to wipe off terrorists. And Dume tells Tinubu, Senator Alain Dume is one that that will not care whose ox is God, will say whatever is in his mind. And he said Jonathan did it at the tail of his administration, and it yielded a result before he left. All right, lament killings of 6 farmers in Borno, and you have this picture here of the Oyo State Governor, Governor Seyi Makinde, with some of his men there at a particular function. That is the commissioner of the local government house and the staff training school at the secretariat in Ibadan. Below that, Atiku writes the National Assembly proposes rotational presidency, wants minimum education qualification raised. Okay, and I'm not working against Yoruba interest. Bamidele. Tinubu leaves for UK on 2-week annual leave. All right, everybody takes leave, and president has just taken his own. Someone was asking yesterday, how about those private visits that you talk about? That you're taking, it's on a private visit to a particular country, to France, to UK.
Their official visits.
Okay, so how about this 2-week leave now?
This is annual leave. And, the special advisor to the president on information and strategy, Bayo Nanuga, says it's going to be like a working leave, that the president will use this time to reflect.
I don't know why I'm laughing.
To reflect on the policies his administration has taken, so as to know what's the way forward. I mean, I read it and I was like, okay, that's nice. I mean, it's a working leave, so it's not totally off off the line.
And the UK atmosphere gives you that clemency needed to think very well. I agree.
I believe it's probably not to give power or relinquish power, not relinquish, by the way, to his vice to become the acting president. While
14 days is not enough. I think it will take only 1 day, out of office, for you to be able to do that. But what do I know? By the way, now article, just like an headline I read earlier, a headline rather, talking about the former vice president writing the National Assembly to say the minimum education qualification for the president, for the post of the president, should be raised. You agree? Because the current educational qualification you need to be president in this country is for you to attempt SSC.
Yeah.
You don't even have to pass. Just write SSC. And that's why a particular president was asked, where's your SSC? And that president went to hire the services of SANS, to defend how he couldn't say that. But many Nigerians will say, for you to get a 70,000 or minimum wage kind of job, you need a certificate, BSc, HND. Some will ask you, master's degree is an added advantage for a 70,000, 100,000 naira job. But the highest office in the land, the one that makes all the policies and shows the country the direction, the only educational qualification you need is to attempt. Even if you get F9 parallel, it's just to attempt. So Atiku is saying maybe we should raise the bar. You agree?
Of course, it's a conversation that we should continue to have, and it's one that is long overdue. Yeah. How can you say the person that occupies the highest position in a country should just have sat for a senior school certificate examination, and that's it? It just shows that we allow the worst to lead the best of us, and it's actually supposed to be allowing the best to lead the rest of us. So I agree with Waziri Atiku on this one, that we should actually up the bar. Let us stretch ourselves. Even if we were not saying they should have PhD, at least they should have gone through a higher institution. They should have gone through maybe some courses on leadership and what have you, and they should present their certificates before they can be allowed to contest.
In fact, we should raise the bar. Based on my opinion, for you to be rise to a particular post in civil service, you have to have some certificate. You have to have from even professional certificates.
Yeah.
Now, but the number one, she just okay, let's just move. And here, Osun State, Adeleke threatens to sue APC director for 5 billion naira over alleged defamation. And top three Senate summons Works Minister over Ohiole Road, backs establishment of Agric Varsity in Iragbiji, okay, and Ekiti returning to Awolowo's farm settlement era to boost food security. Oyebanchi, that's governor. Lastly, here, still talking about the Tribune, Rivers local government poll, APC factions disagree over participation in exercise. And the writer says, why we have not released a voter register. INEC. That will be all from the Tribune.
All right, from the Tribune, let's head on to Daily Trust newspaper today. On Daily Trust, the big bold caption there talks about the tragic incident that happened in Niger State. Daily Trust puts the number of fatalities at 16 buried, 150 people still missing after Niger boat mishap with riders. Ferry conveying 300 Maulud celebrants. And like Femi said earlier, 300 is much to be on a boat. And rescue operation still ongoing, 182 lives lost in 3 years. And of course, you can see the pictures of people who were carrying out the rescue operations, trying to bring people out of the water. And away from that, Iran-Israel war, FG moves to evacuate Nigerians in Lebanon. 10 killed in Lagos road accident. Reps reject CFR national honor for speaker. Demand GCON. Kebbi governor donates SUVs to Emir. Here we go again.
Yes,
And constitution review. Atiku proposes rotational presidency. MAN to FG. Sanction officials making policies that ruin businesses. And lastly, from here, Governor Lawal's allegations against Matawale despite onslaught on bandits unpatriotic. That will be all on Daily Trust newspaper this morning. And of course, on the newspaper review segment for today, we take this breather. When we return, we will be speaking to issues beyond Nigeria, talking about the Iran-Israel war. Need to understand the situations that led to this war, what is currently happening, and the trajectory moving forward. Do not go anywhere. Morning Spring will be right back.